Hello everybody, a bit of an update. So as you've seen, we've been doing a bit more sanding. A few tricky bits, also getting the right grit sandpaper was a little bit tricky because 340 grit or 320 grit, sorry, appeared like it was doing all right, but actually it wasn't. It was struggling a bit. So I went through my my old sanding sheets and found a couple of 240s. So decided to use those up. I am going to try and use up some of my old sanding sheets that have got a bit of life left in them, but I'm not really going to use them on much else. So I am trying to use them up. Okay, so progress with the chair so far. One thing I will mention is you'll have noticed there was a very different lighting situation, and I'm aware it was very different. I'm hoping it looks okay on the video, or at least when I say looks okay, I hope you can see the piece of work better, because that's the reason why I changed that particular lighting. Basically, I've got a very bright torch, which I put on just below the camera and then turned the big light off, and it did seem to give better lighting because unfortunately the big light's up there and the camera's over there, so the lighting situation is not great. But hopefully you've been able to see what I've been up to. Now, a couple of things you may notice is on the video that I haven't gone for getting each piece of wood perfectly clean, because that's not the aim. There are still a bit more, a few more areas of sanding to do. I've still got to do half the chair, to be fair, but as an example, I'll show you. Looking this over. Okay, so underneath the arm, right, it may look like I've just left a load of marks there, which kind of I have, but to get all that off, be a pain in the arse. I just realised I was pointing the camera at the light as well. But you may notice, for example, up the support, I've not gone for getting it perfectly clean. Down in the edges, I haven't either. But also these rings, which I was doing, I haven't gone for getting them perfect either. Like for example this bit, but also in the ridges. And I'll do similar with these, and I've decided when it comes to doing the legs, I'm probably going to do the rings first because they're a fucking pain in the backside. Okay, so you may wonder then, well, why am I not like sanding it out, getting it perfect? Well, it's an old chair, and I don't want it to look brand new. But also by leaving a bit of the colour in the crevasses, basically in the indented bits, the depth bits, then when it comes to actually treating this chair, it's going to allow it to have different colour in different areas. So the outer bit will be lighter, but the inner bit will be darker. So it's going to add an aged look to the finish. At least that's the hope. That's what I've seen people do. Now, while I was sanding the legs, there was something, not the legs, the struts and the armrests, there was something that I noticed. So I decided to do something. What I noticed was that as I was sanding these, try to get a better camera. Okay, as I was sanding these here, all the sawdust was dropping down and filling the gap. So I decided, rather than just vacuuming up all the sawdust, that I would keep pushing the sawdust down into the gap there. So when I finished doing the armrest, I then sanded around these two supports to get a bit more sawdust in there, and then rammed a load of glue around it. Now, it ain't pretty and it ain't perfect, but what I'm going to do is hopefully on both of these, see, that is sanded, it's where the glue is. So hopefully once that's dry, well, there's two reasons why I put the glue on, a few reasons why I put the glue on there now. One of them is I wanted to vac the chair, but if I vac the chair, I'm going to suck up all the sawdust out that I've wedged down the gaps. I don't want to do that. I also want to wipe the chair down with white spirits, but if I do that, that would also suck up the sawdust that's in the gaps. I don't want to do that. So that's why I've gone for gluing it. So I can glue it, I can let that dry, I've vacked it. Once that is dry, I will then be able to give those 2 points an extra bit of a sanding, wipe it all down with the white spirits, and then potentially try and put more glue and sawdust, perhaps my glue mixture, into those gaps. Now, a couple of things I've done as well is underneath, you may have seen me knocking or hammering underneath. It was just to reposition the wedges, and when I get a chance I will glue those as well, but I'm going to wait until I can turn the table over. Also, what I did was, I went through my scrap wood box where I'd got loads of really nasty pieces of wood from the table that I'm working on, that I've been wanting to throw out for ages because it was doing me head in, and just lying about with a load of shitty wood in it, until yesterday when I went to move it and realised there's some shards. Now you might think, well, who gives a fuck about shards? Well, when you consider that I mentioned that something I might have to do with this chair is put a few wedges in places, well, these would be perfect. And obviously it's fucking huge, but there's lots of them. There's thick ones, there's fat ones, there's thin ones, there's long and thin ones, there's short and fat ones, there's very sharp ones. So I've basically got very thin ones. I've basically got pre-made wedges already, so I haven't got to try and source them. So for example, on the underneath of the chair here, where this is wedged in, if I need to put a wedge in, I can do it like in that way. So I get the right piece and whack it in there. And same for anywhere else on the chair that I was doing it, but also for anything else that I end up doing. So although I was going to throw the whole box of scrap wood away, I'm glad I didn't, and I'm not going to now, because yeah, these could come in very, very useful. Now I'm buggered, so I think that's going to be me done for today. I'm knackered, I need a shower and food, so that's what I'm going to go and do. And hopefully next time we'll try and get a bit more of it sanded. I'm hoping as well that once it's all sanded and it's all sort of fixed and put together, I'm hoping it shouldn't take too long to treat, because yeah, it should literally be a case of wiping it with some oil. That's what I'm going for anyway. With the Danish, I'm going to try the Danish oil. So we'll see how that looks. Right, I'm done. We'll see what happens on the next one. So good.